You are in love, but something feels deeply wrong. Are you ignoring God's warning? If your relationship has these 6 signs, you need to stop watching right now or watch to save your future. Are you ignoring God's warning? The 6 signs you must see. You are deep in love. The connection feels undeniable. The chemistry is magnetic, and you have built a future in your mind. But deep down, there is a nagging whisper that refuses to be silenced. This is not the person for you. You try to dismiss it as fear, as self-doubt. But what if that feeling is not your own anxiety? What if it is a sign, a divine warning, a quiet yet firm no from the universe? This is one of the most agonizing dilemmas of human existence. To choose between the deep, tangible pull of your heart and the subtle, intangible guidance of your spirit. The world tells you to follow your heart, but what if your heart is being temporarily blinded by desire? What if the path you are currently walking is a detour that will ultimately lead to profound heartbreak and distance you from your true calling? Many pursue love that feels good in the moment, only to realize years later that they chose companionship over purpose. The signs are not always thunder and lightning. They often manifest as a consistent pattern of subtle red flags, inner turmoil, and blocked pathways that we choose to ignore. But once you see them for what they are, clear indicators that this person is not aligned with your destiny, the burden of the decision begins to lift. In this video, we will reveal the 6 undeniable signs that are often misinterpreted as mere challenges, but are in fact God's way of lovingly rerouting you. It takes courage to look at these signs, but that courage will save your life. The 6 signs. Sign 1. The core disconnect of faith and values. The first, and perhaps the most powerful indicator that you are walking down a path God is attempting to block, is a deep-seated, persistent incongruity in your core values and spiritual life. This is far more than a simple difference in preferences or hobbies. This is a fundamental misalignment in the very foundation upon which you intend to build your life. When we talk about values, we are speaking of the non-negotiables, your beliefs about integrity, your commitment to service, your views on marriage, family, and the role of the divine in your daily life. If your partner actively dismisses, diminishes, or undermines your most cherished spiritual convictions, you are looking at a relationship built on sand. Many people try to rationalize this away, saying, "Love conquers all," or "I can change them later." But this is a dangerous fantasy. The spiritual truth is that your relationship should propel you forward in your purpose, not pull you backward or force you to compromise your soul's greatest desires. The scriptures are clear. Do not be yoked together with unbelievers, for what do righteousness and wickedness have in common? 2 Corinthians 6:14. This is a call for compatibility at the deepest level, the level of core belief and future vision. Think of your life as a magnificent temple you are building. The person you choose to marry or commit your life to is the co-architect. If one architect is building a house of worship and the other is building a secular tower, the structures are destined to clash. You cannot walk 2 different paths and expect to arrive at the same destination. If the individual you are with causes you to routinely step away from your community, your practices, or your commitment to growth, this is a profound sign of misalignment. God often says no by withholding the peace that would typically accompany a blessed union. If you feel constantly pressured to make compromises that violate your conscience, you must understand that this is not a test of love, but a warning of incompatibility at the deepest level. True partnership is about covenant, not just convenience. A covenant relationship demands a shared vision for the spiritual legacy you wish to create together. If that vision is blurry, or non-existent, the divine answer is likely a quiet, firm caution. Do not mistake the struggle for compromise as a sign of strength. Sometimes the greatest strength is knowing when to let go and trust that your Father in heaven has a partner who shares your highest ideals. Sign 2. The constant absence of inner peace. The second crucial sign is perhaps the most difficult to discern, yet the most telling: a persistent, gnawing absence of inner peace. Peace is not merely the absence of conflict. In the spiritual sense, peace is the signature of divine approval. When you are operating within God's will, even in the midst of trials and challenges, there is a fundamental bedrock of calm and assurance in your spirit. The Apostle Paul wrote, "And the peace of Jesus, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Jesus Christ." Philippians 4:7. However, in relationships that are not meant for you, that peace is continually withheld. You may be enjoying moments of fleeting happiness, intense physical connection, or social ease, but when you are alone in the quiet hours of the night, during moments of prayer or meditation, a profound sense of anxiety and instability settles over you. This feeling may manifest as perpetual second-guessing, unexplained emotional volatility, or a deep, nagging feeling that you are settling for less than what you deserve. Many confuse this lack of peace with excitement or passion. They argue that a volatile relationship means the love is intense. This is a destructive fallacy. True, mature spiritual love is not inherently turbulent. It is stabilizing. If your relationship brings consistent drama, unnecessary emotional highs and lows, and leaves you feeling drained rather than replenished, this is a cosmic friction that your soul is trying to signal to your mind. The divine does not use chaos as a method of confirmation. It uses stillness and calm. If you find yourself constantly having to manage your partner's emotional state, constantly walking on eggshells, or constantly defending your relationship to your closest confidants, the external chaos is merely a reflection of the internal chaos you have allowed. The internal discord you feel is God gently, but repeatedly, tapping you on the shoulder. This warning is often ignored because we are conditioned to believe that we must fight for love. But the highest form of love does not require you to constantly fight for your sanity or your equilibrium. If you pray for guidance and your anxiety only seems to deepen, understand that the lack of assurance is the answer. The divine is telling you to seek refuge and partnership in a place where your spirit can finally find rest. When the presence of a person subtracts from your internal peace, rather than adding to it, it is time to heed the silent rejection. Sign 3. Persistent red flags that violate integrity. The third sign is perhaps the most pragmatic, yet frequently rationalized away: a persistent and repeating pattern of red flags that directly violate principles of integrity, respect, and character. We are all flawed, but there is a clear distinction between human imperfection and a consistent lack of integrity. These red flags often involve serious moral or ethical deficiencies, habitual dishonesty, manipulative behavior, financial recklessness, disrespect toward authority or service workers, or a tendency toward emotional cruelty. When these issues surface, the human heart often employs a dangerous mechanism called the fixer syndrome. We believe our love is powerful enough to heal these deep-seated character flaws. We tell ourselves that the potential of who they could be is more important than the reality of who they are right now. But the divine truth is that God calls us to partnership with people who are actively striving for righteousness and spiritual maturity, not people who require our spiritual rescue. The priority is always clarity and truth. But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Matthew 6:33. A divinely sanctioned partner will hold themselves accountable and show tangible, consistent effort towards self-improvement and repentance when they fall short. A rejection from God is often conveyed through a simple pattern, a lack of demonstrable remorse for harm caused, an unwillingness to take responsibility, and a cycle of breaking and re-breaking critical agreements. These are not minor flaws, they are fractures in the foundation of character that will inevitably destroy the trust and peace of your future together. When you overlook these persistent moral failures, you are telling yourself that your need for companionship is greater than your commitment to integrity. This is a false choice. God does not want you to settle for instability. The warnings you see in their behavior are not coincidences. They are mercies designed to protect you from inevitable and escalating pain. Stop viewing these red flags as obstacles to overcome with your love, and start viewing them as the clear, consistent evidence that this individual is not ready or willing to enter into a holy, committed covenant. The greatest act of faith may be acknowledging the truth of their character and choosing to walk away. Sign 4. The pattern of isolation and separation. The fourth undeniable sign that the divine hand is guiding you away is a relationship that persistently pulls you into isolation, separating you from your vital support structures. A blessed and healthy partnership acts as an anchor and a sail. It stabilizes you while empowering you to reach new horizons. With the help of your established community, it should never be a fortress that separates you from the outside world. Jesus designed us for community. Our spiritual growth is meant to happen within a supportive network where accountability and encouragement are plentiful. That is why the scriptures warn against not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together, Hebrews 10:25. Observe carefully the effect this relationship has on your connections with your family, your trusted friends, and your spiritual community. If you find yourself consistently making excuses for your partner's behavior to others, if you have slowly and deliberately cut off ties with people who hold you accountable, or if your friends and family express genuine, consistent concern that you find yourself having to defensively dismiss, these are not external attacks on your love. They are collective warnings delivered through the people who care most about your well-being. God designed us for community. Our spiritual growth is meant to happen within a supportive network where accountability and encouragement are plentiful. A partner who demands exclusivity in a way that is controlling and isolating is actively working against your spiritual design. They seek to become your sole source of validation, your only source of truth, and your only emotional outlet, creating a dependency that is inherently unhealthy and unsustainable. This kind of isolation is a tactic, whether conscious or unconscious, to shield the relationship from external, objective scrutiny. If you are forced to choose between your partner and the healthy relationships that existed long before they arrived, this is the universe screaming its disapproval. A person who truly loves you and respects your destiny will encourage your best connections, recognizing that a strong support system outside of the relationship is the foundation of a healthy individual. Do not mistake possessiveness for passion. True love sets you free, not fences you in. If the relationship feels like a constant retreat from the world instead of a launching pad into your purpose, you must listen to the silent plea of your inner circle and your own soul that yearns for connection and freedom. This forced solitude is a sign that the path you are on is meant for one, not two, and that the two of you are moving in opposite directions from your true calling. Sign 5. Your spiritual gifts are stifled, not celebrated. The fifth sign is a critical spiritual indicator. The person you are with is actively or passively stifling the expression of your true spiritual gifts and purpose. Every individual is created with a unique set of talents, gifts, and a calling, your destiny. A partner sent by God will recognize this unique fingerprint of the divine on your life and will act as your greatest cheerleader, your strategic partner, and your emotional support system as you pursue it. They see the potential in you and push you toward it. As it is written, "For we are Jesus's handiwork, created in Jesus Christ to do good works, which Jesus prepared in advance for us to do." Ephesians 2. Conversely, a relationship that is not meant for you often begins to feel like a heavy anchor. You may find that your energy is constantly depleted, that your creative urges are suppressed, and that you lack the motivation to engage in the work that truly sets your soul on fire. This suppression can take many forms. They may subtly mock your ambitions, complain that your work takes up too much time, or perhaps simply drain your emotional bandwidth so completely that you have nothing left to give to your calling. This sign is often overlooked because the suppression can feel comfortable. It is easier to stay small than to step into your power. But a partner who is intended for you will share your vision for impact, even if they don't share your specific skill set. They will create space for your growth, not resentment. If the relationship requires you to become a lesser version of yourself, to dim your intellect, minimize your talents, or abandon your ministry or professional goals, you are being warned. The divine plan for your life is non-negotiable. Your gifts are not meant to be buried. They are meant to be used to serve the world. If you look at your life today and realize you have shrunk away from your God-given potential since entering this relationship, this is a clear indication of a misalignment of purpose. You are being asked to sacrifice your destiny for compatibility, and that is a trade the divine will never endorse. A spiritual partner is one who inspires you to be more faithful, more generous, and more fully alive, not one who makes you feel guilty for being brilliant. Do not accept a love that demands your regression. Sign 6. When prayer brings no confirmation, the sixth and final sign is the one that forces us to rely purely on faith and spiritual perception. The consistent absence of peace or confirmation following earnest, sincere prayer. We often enter into prayer hoping for a resounding yes, or at least a clear path forward. Yet in relationships that are blocked by the divine, the answer often comes in the form of a prolonged and unsettling silence, or worse, an increase in anxiety after the prayer. The scriptures guide us. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Proverbs 3. The Bible assures us that when we ask in faith, we receive guidance. However, when you bring this specific person or relationship before God and find that the door remains closed, not slammed shut, but simply unmoving, refusing to swing open, you must heed that stillness. This silence is not a sign that God is ignoring you. It is a sign that the answer is no, but you are unwilling to hear it. Many people mistake persistence for faith. They continue to pray for the relationship to work, believing that if they just pray harder, the divine will override the initial warning. But true faith is not about manipulating God into agreeing with your desires. True faith is about aligning your desires with God's will. If you consistently receive confirmation on other areas of your life, work, friendships, health, but this one area remains clouded, confused, and devoid of that comforting assurance, you are being told that this is a closed chapter. This sign requires the greatest vulnerability because it demands that you relinquish control and trust a plan you cannot yet see. The divine wisdom knows that the person you are holding onto is blocking the entrance of the person you are truly meant to be with. The silence is a protective mechanism, preventing you from committing your life to a path that would ultimately lead to spiritual derailment. Recognize that sometimes the greatest act of love God can show you is to deny you the temporary happiness you crave in order to preserve the eternal joy and purpose He has planned. Stop praying for God to change the person and start praying for the courage to accept the peace that comes from His decisive, quiet no. conclusion and call to action. To accept a divine no is one of the most painful yet profoundly transformative acts of faith you will ever undertake. It feels like loss, but in truth, it is the highest form of gain. You are not losing a relationship, you are gaining your life, your purpose, and your peace. The courage you need now is not the courage to fight for a relationship that is clearly being blocked. The courage required is the courage to surrender your personal will to the greater, loving, and protective plan that the universe holds for you. Remember this truth: rejection from the divine is always a form of redirection. It is not a punishment, it is a profound act of mercy, saving you from a sorrow you cannot yet comprehend. By clearing the path of what is not meant for you, you create the necessary space for the right person, the one who aligns with your destiny, respects your spirit, and celebrates your purpose to finally enter your life. Your story is not over. It is simply shifting to the next brighter chapter. Trust the silence. Trust the warnings, trust the peace you are seeking, and walk toward the future that is waiting for you. If you are struggling with this decision, please do not walk this path alone. You need to anchor yourself in peace right now. I encourage you to join our community. Subscribe to this channel for consistent guidance and strength as you navigate life's toughest choices. And if this message has resonated deep within your spirit, leave the simple phrase, "I choose peace," in the comments below. Let that be your declaration that you are ready to let go of the burden and accept the better future waiting for you. Thank you for watching. May you find the strength to choose the path of light and truth.